You ever have one of those weeks where everything just spirals? Like, you're minding your business, doing something you love, thinking life's finally lining up for once. Then boom. Drama shows up wearing heels and a pantsuit, acting like she owns the place. Well, that's exactly what happened to me. My name's Jake Landry. And this is the story of how my houseboat got sunk by the president of a homeowners association who didn't realize I owned the whole dang lake. It started on a Tuesday. June's sun was burning up the sky, but there was a good breeze rolling off the water that made it bearable. I was out on the deck of my houseboat. Smoothing the railing I just finished installing, mahogany with a satin finish, built it with my own hands. Been working on that boat for 3 months. Ever since I moved back to my late grandfather's ranch outside of Dry Pine, Missouri. That lake. It had been in my family since the 1880s. Spring-fed, clean as a whistle, quiet as church on a weekday. I thought I'd finally found my peace out there. Then I heard this clack, clack, clack of high heels crunching gravel, and I knew something was about to go sideways. She strutted in like a big city executive lost in the woods, white blazer, hair shellacked into place, sunglasses that probably cost more than my truck. Stopped at the edge of my land. 20 feet from the dock, arms crossed like she was about to evict me off my own porch. "Excuse me," she said, in that brittle, upper management tone. "Are you the one responsible for that structure?" Now, I've been raised to stay polite, even when somebody's acting like they stepped out of daytime soap. So I smiled, set down my sandpaper, and walked up to the edge of the deck. "Yep," I said. "Built her myself. Still a work in progress." She didn't smile back. If anything, her lip curled. "I'm Carol Huxley, president of the Silver Ridge Homeowners Association. That vessel is in violation of community codes and must be removed immediately." I blinked. "Ma'am, with all due respect, this lake sits on my family's land. Been in the Landry name going on 5 generations. HOA rules don't apply out here." Her nostrils flared. You could see the rage bubbling under that foundation. "I don't care what kind of folktale you've got about your ancestors. This community has standards. If you don't comply, I'll bring in the proper authorities." And just like that, she turned on her heel and marched off, heels sinking into the dirt like the world owed her concrete. Now, I've dealt with control freaks before, worked in construction in Dallas. Built things for clients who had full-on meltdowns over curtain rod placements. But something about Carol? She didn't just want rules followed. She wanted control. Total, unquestioned. Why knuckle control? That night, I figured it was over. A misunderstanding. She'd cool off. Maybe bake banana bread and find a new hobby. But the next morning, my ropes had been cut. A wrench I left out was tossed into the shallows. Third day, claw marks on the hull, deep, angry ones. That was when I realized this woman was making a game out of ruining my life. And it wasn't just sabotage. She started calling me every morning, quoting made-up bylaws like gospel, leaving voicemails about unauthorized aquatic structures and ecological harm. Then there were the binoculars. Every time I stepped outside, there she was, up on that hilltop just outside the HOA boundary, sitting in her Lexus with a clipboard and a vengeance. It got to the point I couldn't work in peace. Couldn't sleep. And then Tom Hollis showed up. Tom's my neighbor, runs cattle on the east side of the ranch. Honest man, Vietnam vet. Calls him like he sees him. He showed up one morning looking uneasy. "Jake," he said, "you need to know Carol's been spinning tales about you. Told folks you're building a moonshine distillery. Or some kind of militia outpost. Got folks in the HOA worked up." "She say that to you?" I asked. "She says it to everybody. And now she's waving around some paperwork claiming she filed complaints with the county and EPA. That's when I knew this wasn't just a feud. It was a war. So I played possum. Took down a couple railing panels, let them sit on the shore like I was giving up. Sure enough, Carol showed up on her hilltop, snapping photos like she'd just won a land dispute. But that only encouraged her. She doubled down. More vandalism. More voicemails. Even had someone throw a dead raccoon onto my dock with a note that said biohazard. Real subtle. That's when I called my grandfather's lawyer, old lady named Miss Winstead, who still files everything on paper. Told her I needed every document she had on the ranch. Couple days later, she called back. "Jake," she said, voice trembling with excitement. "Your great-great-granddad filed for full water rights. This lake, the water, the shoreline. 200 yards past it in every direction, it's all yours. And it's airtight. I went digging through Grandpa's cedar chest just to double-check. Sure enough, original deeds, surveys, government seals. My jaw just about hit the floor. And buried between the pages was a note in Grandpa's handwriting. Protect what's yours. They'll always come for what they didn't build. The next day, Carol made her move. Real subtle, too. Showed up with 2 goons in a Ford truck, one with a power drill, the other with bolt cutters. I caught them right as they were boring holes into the hull of my houseboat. Hey, I shouted. What the hell are you doing? Carol turned toward me with that ice-cold smirk. Just conducting a safety inspection, she said. Wouldn't want your little shack to drift into community waters during a storm. Then, just like that, she pulled out her phone and called the police. Yes, I'd like to report an environmental emergency, she cooed, fake worry thick in her voice. There's a man dumping pollutants into our community lake. I stood there waist deep in water, watching my work sink, holding on to the only thing I could salvage, Grandpa's journal and some old photos, just stunned. That's when something shifted inside me. I wasn't angry in the red-faced kind of way. No, this was ice-cold clarity. The kind of anger that doesn't shout. It plans. 20 minutes later, Officer Troy Beck showed up, small-town cop. Level-headed, knew my family. Carol launched into her performance like she was auditioning for a courtroom drama. He drilled the holes himself. It's insurance fraud. Domestic terrorism. He's poisoning our water. Beck turned to me. Jake, you want to tell me what's going on here? I handed him the folder Miss Winstead put together. Start here, I said. Then I'll tell you everything. He flipped through the documents. Stamped surveys, notary signatures, registered deeds. The further he read, the deeper Carol's face sunk. Ma'am, he said slowly, you've been filing reports on private property that doesn't belong to you. This lake is his. And if what he says about this morning is true, we're looking at criminal trespass and destruction of property. Carol stammered. That can't be right. The lake's always been part of the HOA. Everyone knows that. Beck shook his head. You're not gonna like what everyone's about to know. And just like that, the tables turned. But Carol wasn't done. No, ma'am. She called a community meeting at the HOA clubhouse. Told everyone she had video proof that I sabotaged my own boat. Said she'd expose me for what I really was. Only problem? One of her henchmen had been recording their whole little sabotage session, probably to cover their own tails. And Carol, in her arrogant glory, brought that footage to the meeting like it was the ace up her sleeve. When she played it on the big screen, grainy video, houseboat in view, you could see everything. The 2 guys drilling. Her on the dock, checking her watch. And me, running toward them, shouting, trying to stop it. The kicker? Her voice, on the audio, saying, hurry up and finish before he stops you. You could have heard a pin drop. People were just staring, wide-eyed, mouths open. Some folks looked like they wanted to crawl under their chairs. I stood up, took a breath, and said, what you just saw was the president of your HOA committing a felony. She destroyed my property, blamed me for it, and tried to ruin my name. You tell me what kind of leadership that is. Tom Hollis stood up and said, plain as day, I motion we remove Carol Huxley from her position as HOA president effective immediately. Half the room clapped. The other half just nodded, slowly. Like they'd been holding in a truth too long. Carol? She didn't say much. She just grabbed her bag and left. Later, she put her house up for sale and skipped town. In the weeks that followed, the police filed charges, I won a civil suit, got my boat replaced. And the new HOA president, sweet woman named Louise, brought over cookies and asked if her grandkids could fish off the dock sometimes. So yeah, life's peaceful again. The lake is quiet. My new houseboat floats like a dream. But I'll never forget what Grandpa said, protect what's yours. Because there's always someone out there who will come for what they didn't build. Now I gotta ask, have you ever had to deal with a Carol? Someone who thought the rules didn't apply to them because they were loud enough, connected enough, or just plain mean enough? Tell me in the comments. Let's talk about it. What do you think? Should I have dropped the hammer sooner? Or was it worth letting her dig her own grave first? And hey, if you've got a story like mine, I'm all ears. Hit that like button, subscribe for more true tales from the quiet side of crazy. And share this with someone who's ever had to stand up to a bully. Because sometimes the best revenge is just letting the truth roll in like calm water.